Are Mercedes about to copy Red Bull? That very idea would have seemed crazy just a few years ago, but now the Milton Keynes outfit are so far ahead that Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton may have to swallow their pride and do just that. The up and down 2023 season of Mercedes. The Mercedes 2023 season has been one of ups and downs. While it's undoubtedly better than the disastrous 2022 campaign that took them from unbeatables to unwinnables, 2023 has come with its own set of problems for Toto Wolff and his team to solve. For a start, their very concept was wrong at the beginning of the year. A win in Sao Paulo late in 2022 gave them false hope that their zero-pod design harbored some kind of hidden performance. It became apparent very quickly in 2023 that that hope was misguided. So, Mercedes set about building a B-spec car, one that was a significant departure away from what they first raced in Bahrain. The unveiling of this car was supposed to take place in Imola, but Mother Nature scuppered that, so instead Monaco was to be the launch pad for this new Mercedes car. While the streets of Monte Carlo have routinely been unkind to Mercedes, even during their dominant year, it was always likely that the true performance of the new car would not be seen until the following race in Spain. The results from that sunny afternoon in Barcelona were very pleasing for those within Brackley. A double podium for the first time since Sao Paulo, but with this time having a car that looked a good starting ground to build on for the future. But instead, Mercedes season stumbled in the very same way that almost all teams have this year. They found that the W14 was an incredibly track-specific kind of car. It's one that preferred low-speed corners and minimal straights, meaning Silverstone, and in particular Austria, was never going to show it to its full potential. The only team not to suffer this kind of circuit-by-circuit form fluctuation is Red Bull, and it seems plenty of teams are starting to copy what was first designed in Milton Keynes. Hamilton's McLaren comment. Lewis Hamilton may have made it to the podium at his home race in Silverstone, but it was the presence of another British driver that caused the biggest shock. While Mercedes' start to the 2023 has been stumbling at times, it was nothing compared to that of McLaren, who arguably had the worst car on the grid at the start of the year. A heck of a lot has changed for the historic outfit since that first race, not to mention the firing of technical director James Key and the creation of 3 new senior positions within the technical team. But while Zak Brown & Co waits for its new staff arrivals, the existing team has been working non-stop to improve the MCL 60. The first sign of that came in Austria, and such was the rush that they only had enough parts to fit to Lando Norris's car, but the results were clear straight away. Norris would go on to qualify 4th at the Red Bull Ring, and would hold on to that position for his best finish since the 2022 Singapore Grand Prix, but there was even more good news for McLaren fans on the way. Ahead of their home race, McLaren brought further upgrades to Norris's car while bringing Oscar Piastri's also up to speed, and again the MCL 60 was one of the quickest cars on the grid. The McLaren boys qualified P2 and P3 with only Verstappen ahead, and had it not been for a poorly timed safety car, they would have both finished on the podium. Instead, Hamilton joined Norris, and having grown up at McLaren, he was delighted to see his old team doing well. Hamilton said, "I'm not surprised. I mean, if you look at the car, it makes sense. I'm really happy for them. They've had such a bad run for so long, so to be back up there is really great to see." But it was something else that the 7-time world champion said that could reveal what Mercedes' future plans are. If you just put it alongside a Red Bull, it looks very similar down the sides. It's working, it's great. We now have another team up in the mix, which is what we want to see in this sport. Toto Wolff open to copying Red Bull. Hamilton's idea of teams copying Red Bull is not something new and can actually be traced all the way back to the 2022 Spanish Grand Prix when Aston Martin were accused of being a green Red Bull. Aston Martin successfully defended their car, confirming that they had arrived at a similar design to Red Bull on their own, but they weren't the only team to have a similar looking car in 2023. That posed a tricky problem for a proud team like Mercedes, who could have been too proud to copy their old rival, but even as early as the race in Saudi Arabia, Toto Wolff suggested it was something they could look to do. Wolff said, "We have no dogmatism of how the car should look like. It just needs to be the quickest possible race car. If that looks like a Red Bull, I don't care. It just needs to be quick. The Mercedes B-Spec car was later unveiled, and although it had taken some elements from the RB19, it still had its own look and design. But given the continued gap between the two teams, Wolff has revealed that his team may look to pinch a few more things from Christian Horner's outfit. Wolff said, "I think from what you see from the outside, which is only half of the information, is that the McLaren car looks like a Red Bull. As a matter of fact, to be honest, it doesn't matter, because only the stopwatch counts. This is what I guess Lewis was referring to, because this design seems to be a good direction. But it's easier said than done, and each of us has bodywork that looked like the Red Bull in the wind tunnel, and it didn't come up in performance. So you have got to leave no stone unturned, and maybe do it again because another team has just found a second in performance." Where do Mercedes need to improve? Well, if Lewis Hamilton could wave a magic wand and have one area of the car's performance improved, it's pretty easy to guess just where that would be. While the W14 performs well in low speed and tight circuits, it loses serious times on the straights and crucially in high speed corners. In the past, Silverstone has been a happy hunting ground for Mercedes, having won the British Grand Prix 8 times since 2013, but they really struggled in this year's edition. Wolff can attribute that problem to a certain area. The Mercedes boss said, "Overall, the car was not where we've seen it at Silverstone in the last few years, a track where we've been really dominant and strong. The high speed was not good at all compared to our direct competitors, and in qualifying we were also struggling with traction on the exits. So overall the car remains a handful. Maybe there's another track where we have the best shot of winning because the characteristics of the car have changed." Wolff, though, has faith that his team will be able to eventually catch and overcome Red Bull. He said, "I've always believed we can beat Max. We have a good group of people, the best drivers, and we just have to give them a car that's more predictable and not the Diva 2.0, and much more complicated than the first one." Do Mercedes aim for 2024? The question now is, when do Mercedes believe they can catch Red Bull, and what will they deem a success? As we saw in 2022, the Silver Arrows are capable of winning at least one race in a dominant Red Bull year. But for Wolff and Hamilton, victory only means World Championships. After 10 rounds, they already trailed Red Bull by 208 points, meaning a title battle this year looks out of the question. So perhaps they're better to instead to focus on 2024. Wolff suggested just as much. He said, "P2, P3 in the championship fundamentally doesn't impact me and the team. It's about coming back and being able to win a world championship, and in that respect, that's not going to happen this year. So we need to set our eyes onto next year, and with all the races to come, to learn, develop and make sure that we can carry that forward into next year. But having said that, the regulations are the same, so you're not learning nothing by continuing with this car. It's a balance that we need to strike right." Thanks as always for watching this video, and let us know in the comments if you think Mercedes should throw in the towel for 2023 in order to have a better run at the title in 2024. As always, like the video and hit subscribe so you never miss a release here on the DRS Straight.